right, testing one, two, three. All right, turn this off. All right, cool. Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with all these riots across the country and everything. Just my perspective on the reality of the situation. Hey, folks, what's up? Hey, I want to talk a little bit about the riots that are going on across the country. Just give you my thoughts on how I see things, right? So, if you know a little bit about me, I don't do the left versus right thing. I'm not going to play that game. So, if you're kind of expecting that type of discussion, you know, that's not here. This is about all of us against them, right? All the lefties, all the righties, all of us united against who the real enemy is. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from. And in that context, the riots are manipulation by those people. And it's a trip because, like, everybody knows it. Agent provocateurs is a French word for it. They've been doing this for years. This is how they cause chaos because chaos is a ladder. That's a line from Game of Thrones, but J.R. Martin, he made a lot of these types of references that apply to what's going on today, and that's one of them. And chaos is a ladder because what they want to do is take down the country so they can rebuild it the way they want to rebuild it. That's the situation, whether you know it or not, right? And those folks making those moves are our actual enemies. It's them. Well, who were they? Oh, if you want to know, you can find out. It's not too hard to find out. The Illuminati. Okay, you could say that. You could say that. You could say deep state. We got this organization that gets our taxpayers' dollars, whose function it apparently is to fuck with everybody. Cause I don't see him doing no good. You know who I'm talking about. I'm even, somewhat apprehensive about saying the name because I'm worried about the YouTube algorithm and stuff. I gotta worry about them. I gotta worry about our own country more than I don't think about Putin. I see him. I see what he's doing. I don't think about what's that Chinese Xi Jinping. I'm worried about our country fucking with us more than I am worried about them. Anyhow, with that said, it's a damn shame to see these people manipulated. Some of these people out here rioting are getting paid, right? And if you know where to go for that, hey, I'm looking for some extra work. Send me the link. Maybe I'll join up. But I would like to see ICE actually go after the manipulators. Because right now, right, there's two states. I look at America like a house, right? This is House America, right? And if you got some work to do in your house, you need to have a little bit of peace. Because with everybody hooping and hollering, you can't get shit done, right? So we don't even have the peace to be able to have the actual discussions that need to be happen in order to get to where we need to be, which is what? Where this shit works for the benefit of everyone. Period. End of story. We must do what needs to be done to make this work for all of us. Because these manipulators are very good at what they do. They know how to do this. There must be some type of book. I think there is literature on this. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but it just seems like there would be. Back after college, I realized I didn't know what fascism was. Like, I heard that word being used and stuff. I figured, shit, let me read a book about it. I was like, damn. They don't teach this stuff to you in school. You gotta go find out on your own. That's that whole power, right? Because what? Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is one part. Love is the other aspect of power. You gotta have love and knowledge. Anyhow, it just showed me reading that book that, yeah, I guess there's a whole lot of stuff I probably got to go find out. And I'm just one of those people that did a lot of work to go find some stuff out. A lot of you folks out there have done the work. There's a variety of ways you can take this whole thing. It's a big area, and you realize like what it means to get off the farm, because like the farm is always like the Matrix, right? It's where they got everybody at all comfortably and everything. But some people, they're like, forget this farm, man. It seems to be a lot more going on out here than whatever that education that I had was, and whatever the news tells me. Because if that's your world, you are in the Matrix, hardcore, right? But slowly, some people want to really get off the farm and go explore. And you can find out a variety of interesting things and the way things work on the outside and the inside, right? A lot of people with the spirituality and meditation stuff, that's like a version of the inside. Outside might be, what the government really is up to, who's Aleister Crowley, who is, you can think of another good name, who is Jordan Maxwell, or even Delbert Blair. Look that stuff up. Delbert Blair too. A lot of people, nobody knows about Delbert Blair. But it's an interesting world out there, way more interesting than they want us to know. And if you do choose to go find some stuff out, you might be in a position where you'd be like, you want to tell people, right? You want to share the information. And next thing you know, you're the crazy conspiracy theorist. Because, that's the other thing that for people who use that word aren't aware of, is that term was pushed, right, by government agencies as a way to, like, not necessarily defame, to ridicule people who thought outside the narrative. And it was very successful, because there's millions of people going around doing it. That's the manipulation that I'm sick of, which is what I believe this should really be about. These people who are manipulated. We don't have to play this game. I mean, what kind of fools are we? I mean, for real? Come on. Yeah, I have higher expectations of us, for sure. I mean, really? We're just going to sit back and watch the TV and get manipulated? That's just insane. Come on, we can do better, right? We are ready to do better. And so it's going to be important that those of us who want to do this, because I'm just talking normal stuff, right? When I say normal stuff, it's within the laws of the universe, right? You get what you want, right? Like if we want this, in other words, if we want this thing to work for us, we kind of have to work for it. You don't get anything you work for. You can't be protesting to get what you want. That's some silly shit, protesting. It is a waste of time, protesting, in my opinion. I think that, let's just say, if somebody from the left wanted some stuff, then they had to talk face to face with their counterparts on the other side and say, hey, we want you to work with us on helping resolve this problem. That would be the way. But the way now is to play it in the media and get manipulated. That's our choice. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that bullshit if we don't want to. Come on, folks. We got to raise our game, okay? And if you're ready to break off from that old, because it's that world of the media manipulating people is dead, okay? We're gonna kill it, right? It's already started. We got I'm gonna say alternative sources. You gotta watch those because a lot of them appear to be alternative, but they may not be. I don't know if Gaia TV is or not, but that looks pretty suspicious to me, if you ask me. And say The Hill. Look who's funding these people. Just as an example, I don't believe, I always assume it's manipulation because these guys who are doing this, it's basically, I don't know the size of the industry, but I can safely say it's a $500 billion industry. Why? Because what they know that we don't know, right? Because we don't know shit. We don't. But what they know how much they know how much they can benefit by making us think things that aren't necessarily true. There's a huge benefit to that people don't understand. So the motive for fucking with everybody, you understand, is huge. Huge. I bet somebody's calculated it. You can get them to do whatever you want them to do. And one of their methods that they use is fear, right? Everybody knows this. Tell me when I'm talking shit. So this is, so as I'm concerned, I mean, in a court of law, if I had to defend this position, it would seem like it would be fairly easy. And one of the things that I like to kind of portray a character is America's natural law attorney. Yeah. Natural law attorney. And so in my consultation with you, I'll say, hey, America, you fucked up. You have to accept a certain amount of responsibility for giving your power away. That is on you. Okay? But guess what, America? You can choose to no longer give your power away. Instead, what you could do is understand what it is to be powerful, all right? And get what you want. Not what these people who are sucking you dry want. It's a choice. Everybody knows the Matrix. Red pill, blue pill. It's a choice. But each of them have their downsides. Because the red pill ain't easy. That is for damn sure, right? It is not easy. Because once you've realized you don't know shit, you don't know how deep it goes. And it goes really deep. It's a little scary. Yeah, red pill is kind of scary. Some people say that they get depressed. It depresses them. Some people say, yeah, I don't want to know because I don't want to be depressed. But then you agree, okay, well, I'm not willing to work for power. It's just like anything, you got to work for it. And that work isn't necessarily pleasant. Right? What we got to do collectively, is essentially getting over our fucking bullshit, right? That's what it really is. And specifically, I'm talking about, ideologies, whatever we think, this label, that label, right? It's just ridiculous. Sometimes people try to label, somebody called me a patriot once, and I was like, whoa. I appreciate the sentiment, but just don't put a label on me, okay? Because I just, I don't do that. I'm on everybody's side, right? But in the meantime, I'm just not going to accept a label. But look, the point is that's what they do. This is their methodology. It's all laid out right in front of us. There's books written on this, and we gotta say, okay, we're done. This is bullshit. So I think the left and right need to unite. That is absolutely true. We can do all this shit, okay? We can do a really good job. Just think about it. Maybe even take a deep breath and close your eyes and let's all meditate on what it would look like if the next day we woke up and all the left wing people and all the right wing people were embraced in a hug and making up and uniting for real. If that happened, it would be all over. It would be all over. Again, is this my opinion? The concept of divide and conquer, it works all the time. Why? Because people are stupid. Oh, yeah, people are totally stupid, unfortunately. But you know what? That's okay. Because we don't have to be if we don't want to be. It's okay. It's all about a choice. Everybody's on their own path. And there really is no judgment. And I know I did use the word stupid, but I'm saying that kind of colloquially because, I myself, I'm trying to get past using the word stupid because it's also what do you call it? A way of ridiculing people. Everybody's on their path, and who are we to judge? But what we can acknowledge, okay, this is natural law. What we can acknowledge is they made a choice to do that. It's a choice. And they themselves, will have to suffer the ramifications of that choice. Again, for those who do want to increase their power, there's also negatives too to that. So, but the good side is, let me tell you, is my personal, I'm going to, what do they call that? A dissertation or something like that. If I could do a natural law dissertation, it would be on how the relationship between happiness and power. Yeah. And here's where that comes from. At the end of the day, this is what I want. I want people to be happy. Period. End of story. If everybody's happy, I'm happy. But if you got these, everybody's not happy right now. And that's by design. And it really is a choice to accept this situation or not. But, so yeah, happy. You're going to be happy if you feel powerful, right? You're going to feel happy if you, what? You have knowledge and understanding, right? That way you can make good decisions. And that goes to both knowledge of how the world works and knowledge how our spirits work on the inside. You'll have power if you understand or seek understanding of what love is, love and unity. You can seek an understanding even of what, division and fear is. Again, I always say this, but just to explain a little bit more on the love concept. The opposite of love, a lot of people think is hate, but it's actually fear, right? Hate, what is it? Fear begets hate, right? Because you can't hate something that you don't fear. Otherwise, why hate it so much? Anyhow, so that's why I say fear. And that's the primary goal of the media, is to keep us divided and in fear, right? And that's a choice. Do you realize about the media, a little bit more specifically on that, natural law again, right? So that whole setup is just to fuck with people. Period. End of story. For whatever reason, they've actually tricked really good people in thinking that they owe them the truth, that's a place for truth. They actually did it. It's just it's unfortunate. It's not a good look. You could say that if you actually look to CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or any of that bullshit, NPR on that list too. If you look to any of this for understanding of how the world of how the world works, then that's a problem. because these are all just propaganda outlets. They're all, add to that the BBC, New York Times, they are all propaganda outlets. And so my point is that they are used by the capitalists, you could call them, right? Very powerful people in the background to push a narrative. That's their actual job. You know why? Because these people pay them to do it. Okay? Right? You didn't pay them shit. So they don't owe you anything. Right? So that's a problem. And I know you didn't realize, or certain people didn't realize, that this is, that they don't owe you anything. They were just, kind of, you could say, controlled, brainwashed, whatever, to think that these people's job is to tell you some stuff you need to know. It's a bad look. Makes people look like chumps and suckers. I was fooled. I believed the bullshit. You know what? That's on me. That is on me. Some people got to say that, and a lot of people have said that. I'm very thrilled that more and more people are starting to understand that this whole thing is one big made up lie. And if you look deeper into some stuff, you can kind of get an idea of how it works, who's doing it and why, all that stuff. That's part of where it gets real deep. But you can find out if you wanted to know. It's pretty interesting, actually, because what it really is, has to do with what we say we understand about ourselves. But when I look out there, it doesn't seem like people really, really get it. Okay, and I think that's also part of the overall programming. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm talking about what it is that we actually are as human beings. It's a huge deal. Okay, because it's not just words, that we are in fact interdimensional energy beings. That's what we are. And this here is our state here that comes here to experience stuff. That's what it is. Okay? I know people gonna say it's your opinion, whatever, man, but look, the stuff I'm talking about is how the people that control this world, they know all this stuff. They know. And they don't want you to know. Because if you did know, well, you might have a better sense of self-love. They can't have that. They cannot have you loving yourself. No, 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 no. So you can't have this knowledge. And you can use what it is that you actually are to your own benefit. Create your own magic. Manifest. Right? By the way, where's that book? There's a book that I want to show you guys. Alright, this book right here. Road Less Traveled. A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth. I did not know what to expect when I read this. And it came to me at a very pivotal time in my life. But what this is getting at is this aspect that some of you know that is referred to by some of these people that control this shit, right? It's about knowing thyself. Know thyself, right? Remember I was talking about the power equation, knowledge times love. Well, knowledge, right? It's on the inside and the outside. That's how important that is to them. It's not me. Oh, and I'm not gonna talk about that. But so that's what I want us to break off. I want us to break off and say, okay, you guys over there, you can go play that game, but we are going to be the new America, right? We're going to have to envision what it's going to look like. At the end of the day, what do we want? We want decisions to be made for the benefit of the people. A lot of people are a little extreme. I say there's going to have to be a lot of compromises made, particularly with these very powerful entities. Even though we are more powerful than them together, we still got to respect. And right, hey, no harm foul. We fucked up. We chose to give you our power. Bad on us. But this is the way we're going to roll from the future. Okay? This is where we're going to end up being. And then, years later, they're going to write books about how Americans got their shit together and made this shit right. That's what the future history books are going to say. Is the revolution actually finally happened. The Americans got their... Look, we are some of the smartest, baddest ass motherfuckers on the planet, okay? Ain't nothing we can't do. So let's do it, right? We know who the criminals are, right? So let's accept the fact that we fucked up. Let's get this left-right unity thing going. Okay, and a little bit more specifically about that, right? This is my challenge. I'm putting it out there. The Love Movement Challenge. I challenge all y'all people on the right will say, okay? And I've said this before, but y'all really need to face tell liberals and Democrats that you love them. Do you understand this? Do you understand how important that is right now? It's frustrating because some of you call yourselves Christians. You say you understand that God is love. If you understand anything about the whole Jesus thing, understanding that this evil thing has made a move, okay? And you can't vote your way out of this. You need to bring love and God into the equation right now. Right now. Because what is that? That's an aspect of power. This will be, if you did that, the bad guys, the evil guys will go, anyway, run away. Okay, do you understand? And this is natural law. I ain't saying nothing that no Muhammad, Jesus Christ, any of them guys, any of them transcended masters would disagree with. None of it. Do you understand? It's got nothing to do with religion. This is just how the world works. If you want something, you have to work for it. So, I challenge you people on the right. I mean, Charlie Kirk or, I just think all y'all right-wing so-called influencers. Oh, let's get Jimmy Dore, okay, because he's big on the unity thing. We get Charlie Kirk. He's also big on the unity thing. I like those two because, what's his name? Jimmy Dore is more like me. In other words, a liberal. All of a sudden, I'm conservative. It's like, what? Nah, I haven't changed. It's always been us against them, I thought. Anyhow, and Charlie Kirk, he's on the conservative side, but he's already doing the work, right? In other words, he's out there talking to people that disagree with him. So I think those two guys. Let me add another two dudes. Okay. Let me add. There's what is this guy's name? He's a frequent guest on the Jimmy Dore show. I'm just not going to be able to figure him out. But I'll come up with some other names that I think would make sense for the leaders, the influencers to, really push this. And I have a pretty good idea I believe it's a good idea for some merch. make a little bit of money. Hey, why not? For sure. And plus, spread the word. And I'm going to be talking about that on my next whatever you want to call this. I guess they call them podcasts. Let's see if this works. All right, guys.